Hey everybody, Josh Wilson here with FloridaHSFootball.com here, joining you right here as we come to you about talking about the state championship games here, and definitely big time state championship football games that we got coming up here over the next 2 weeks. Of course, Tallahassee starting off first things, and then of course Fort Lauderdale the week after that. But we're going to try to talk to all the head coaches, and I am thankful for this head coach to join me on, who is going to in his 7th year as the head coach at Chaminade-Madonna. That is the head coach of the Chaminade-Madonna Lions, Dameon Jones, and definitely appreciate you joining us here. And Coach, talk about, this is your 7 7 straight state championship games for you. The school has won 6 overall in the course of its history, but let's talk about being able to do this, going 7 straight years leading this team since you became head coach in 2016, be able to do this 7 straight years. What is it like for you in this position?
It still feels a little nerve wracking, man. You still get a little bit excited about it, but I'm blessed, man. And I'm in a great situation around great people and great kids, man, and great established administration. That makes it easy. That makes it easy. Winning is never easy. It gets harder year to year. But just glad and thankful to be in this situation.
I mean, when you talk about this, all the players you've coached, what does it mean to you in that regard? Because, you have sent many kids off to college, and then some of them are going to be sitting here looking at draft eligibility in the NFL coming up this year. So talk about that and these kids that you have sent off to college and now are going to be playing professional football coming up here.
Yeah, that's also a blessing, man. I mean, you tend not to look at that like that's the goal. Leaving high school is always just the goal to get to the next level in college. And then, from there, you take off and use whatever situation God has blessed you with and take advantage of it. And this year, a couple of them have took advantage of it, man. I look forward to seeing where they end up.
I mean, talk about the path going to the state championship game this year. Talk about this path that you scheduled that y'all had this year. You started off the year with playing St. John's out of Washington, D.C., then Dillard, Northwestern, American Heritage Plantation. I mean, that's 4 solid straight games of tough opponents right there. Talk about that coming out there because, if looking at the first game, a lot of people look at that score, 35-28. Well, the game was never closed. It was the only reason it looks close is because, you pulled the starters into 4 quarters. So, but looking at these games
Yeah.
that you played, especially the early on in the part of the season, that built you all up to where you're all at here, right here, going for a state championship game for Thursday night.
Absolutely, man. We love scheduling those type of games, man. And, it kind of watered down at the end because of the district. But we love big games. We get excited about big games, man. So this year we wasn't able to put more than just maybe 4 or 5 because of the districts, man. But yeah, and when we did pull out the starters out against that first weekend, it kind of bit me in the behind for the rest of the year doing that, man. So
But looking at this, in all the games that y'all have played this year, outside the game against Gulliver Prep, which I believe that might have been shortened the game because I think weather, you've scored more than 30 points in every single game outside that particular game. What does that say for your team? Being able to go out there and score 30 or more points per game in the season, regardless of the opponent that you were facing on the other side.
that says we got a high-powered offense. I don't know. The ball's been bouncing our way, man. And yeah, against Gulliver, I think we ended the game second quarter, maybe with 4 minutes left. So um, we wasn't able to complete that game. But at the end of the day, offense is very, very good, and defense has been outstanding this year for us, man. We knew the offense was going to be good coming in. We just didn't know how good. We didn't know how everything was going to mesh together. And one thing we could say this year, we're so balanced, it's crazy, and that's kind of reverse back from our teams. Back in the Hollandale day where we was able to run the ball and throw it. So you just kind of got to pick your poison.
I mean, let's talk about that. We're talking about that balance. I mean, looking at the stats right here, Cedric Bailey almost 3,000 yards passing here, 42 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. But looking at the run game, almost 2,000 yards of in rushing. So you talk about that balance right there. But start with Cedric first, because Cedric, his numbers are just off the chart. And this is an all-state quarterback type numbers here when you're talking about what Cedric has put up this year: almost 3,000 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
And the crazy part about it, he's putting up those type of numbers, and he's been superb this year for us. But think about it: we only played 9 games, so he lost one game where he wasn't able to play because we only could schedule 9. The Venus game got canceled, and then the first 4 games, but the next 5 he has played a half in each one of those ball games. So if he had to play a whole game, who knows what those numbers would be.
I mean, and those numbers, you're talking about, looking at, Thursday night against Clearwater Central Catholic, those numbers should go over 3,000 yards easily. But looking at the run game, it's kind of like, you have Dameon Gaz, who, is your leading rusher, but you've got some other guys that have really been able to carry that ball when you need them to. So talk about those guys and what their ability is to be able to run the ball when you really need them to.
Dwayne Thomas is kind of that Debo Sanders guy for us, man. He runs the ball when we need him. Also, he lines like he's second, a third on the team in touchdowns or whatever. So he's that do-it-all guy run the ball, along with Edwin Joseph, and also BJ Julius. So we got a couple of guys that we can hand the ball off to, and they can get the job done.
And defensively, looking at it, you had to replace some defensive talent. So when we say that Chaminade-Madonna, they don't rebuild it, just reload there with the Lions. So talk about something with your defense, because you've had to replace some players on the defensive side of the ball. You had several guys graduated last year, so I know that had to be get in there, replace those guys and like that. So what did you have to do with that in order to get your defense be on the same level this year again?
Yeah, they followed the lead of Geno Julius, linebacker, who was a linebacker here last year. Him and Wayne Perk, the young guys they bought in. It was like kind of next man up ordeal, and that's kind of how it is every year, because a lot of the guys in our defensive scheme this year, they were in the scheme last year. They just didn't play as much because you had guys in front of them. They waited their turn, and now it's their time to shine, and they've been superb all year, man. The defense is like a bend but don't break, man, and my coordinator, Joe Ballard, does a wonderful job, right along with my offensive coordinator, Torrell Wallace. Those guys, man, they're very competitive, man. So practice will be fun every day, going back and forth with the defense and offense, man, and iron sharpens iron, and I think that's how defense has gotten better. You think so many young guys that didn't play the year before, and they come out and they're holding their own just by going against that type of offense every day. You can't do anything but get better.
No, absolutely. And let's talk about the defensive lead a little bit more here. 56 sacks through the season. I mean, even the number of interceptions, 23 interceptions over the course of 12 games, which again, that number might be higher if some of the other games, like the game against Venice, had been played. I mean, what does that say for your defense overall, especially going up a team that's Clearwater Central Catholic? We'll talk more about your thoughts on CCC in a moment, but just to round out the defense, your guys are just been playing lights out defense this year.
Yeah, they've been playing lights out defense, man, and plus, they get a lot of opportunities because I often score so quickly, and they're back out there. And then, when you up some games, you can try different things, man. And those kids been lights out, taking advantage of their opportunity, man. So they work their tail off, so they definitely deserve it.
No, absolutely. Now, let's get your thoughts on Clearwater Central Catholic here. We're not going to talk too much about what your road in the state of playoffs, because, you dominated against every team that you played here in the 3 games you played so far. But let's talk about the opponent ahead for Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Gene Cox Stadium in Tallahassee. Clearwater Central Catholic, only one loss this season against a team their team against a team that is playing in the state championship this weekend as well. So for Clearwater Central Catholic, they've gone through a gauntlet of their own schedule as well. So what is it about CCC that is different than what you've faced the last couple of years, between a Berkeley Prep or Trinity Christian, which is you've faced multiple times?
I think they 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 bring everything across the table, man. Like we played them the years past, and I watched film on them all weekend this weekend, and kind of similar from what they done in the years past. They're dominant in the defense. They're dominant on the interior up front. They run the ball well. They throw the ball well. Coach Harvey does a wonderful job with those guys, man, and he does that every year. So I'm looking forward to be a good football game.
I mean, in the thought of this, I mean, let me get your thoughts. I mean, this is, both teams, this is a metro classification, metro suburban. I mean, there has been a lot of debate, but that debate's kind of settled over in the past here. But the thought of, these two teams who are in the metro classification and 1M playing this game in Tallahassee, what are your thoughts? Would you have rather played this like in Fort Lauderdale? I mean, I'm sure you would have because it would be on your own backyard.
I don't think. Do you really want to ask me that?
Well, I mean, it's of course always good to hear a better opinion from a coach on this. So I figured, why not ask you?
I think I would love to have played in Fort Lauderdale, not to be uh, picky or anything. I'm thankful for the opportunity that we've been given. But I mean, that Fort Lauderdale Stadium is 10 minutes away from where we at right now. So for us to go 7 hours to Tallahassee and we probably have to spend the most money of anybody in the state championship game from this week and next week because we're coming the furthest of anybody. And, that's kind of the sucky part, especially when one's being held in your backyard.
No, absolutely. And with that said, looking at everything here, with the state championship game, this is a huge game. Going at 7 years in a row again, it's unprecedented. Be able to take a same team 7 years in a row to a state championship game because Miami Central didn't even get to do that in their stretch of runs. But Coach, at the end of the day, it's a huge accomplishment for you. To be able to get there and here you are again. Being able to defend your state title here. That you won last year, be able to go do it again here this year.
I'm so thankful, man. And just like you said, I don't think that part of it has hit me. That 7 years in a row, and I don't think it's hit me. I'm kind of living in the moment, and probably deal with that later on that accomplishment. But right now, just like any other thing, we're just taking it one game at a time. And right now, we're fortunate enough to be back in this situation, back in the state title game, and the goal right now is just to finish the mission and win the ball game. We had a tough year, a good year, was undefeated. That's the first time we've done that since I've been here. So that was one of the accomplishments as well, man. But I'm just proud of my staff and my kids, and we just want to finish on Thursday. And good luck to CCC.
No, absolutely. Well, Coach, we'll see you Thursday night in Tallahassee. Best of luck to you and the Chaminade-Madonna Lions, and we'll again see you Thursday night, Gene Cox Stadium in Tallahassee.
Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. That was head coach Dameon Jones joining us here, right here on with our thing, talking to the coaches about the state championships for Class 3S, the high school football games coming up. We appreciate Dameon Jones joining us here, and we'll see you in Tallahassee for the football state championships for classes 1M, 1S, 1R, and 2S on over the weekend from Thursday to Saturday at Gene Cox Stadium in Tallahassee. For now, so long, and appreciate y'all.